What is up everyone, hope you're doing great. Today we're gonna do an 808 tutorial. Specifically it's gonna be a detailed guide on how to use them and how to do different tricks. But as you can tell, we are currently working with an empty canvas, and for that we're gonna start by making a melody and add some drums to it, so I can then show you how to use your 808 the right way. Okay, first things first, I am at 168 BPM. We're gonna go fast this time. I just opened Analog Lab. Now let's go find a nice preset. Now let's find a nice scale. I'm gonna go with C sharp. Let's send it to the mixer, add an EQ to clean up the low end, because we're gonna need it for the 808. To make a quick counter melody, I'm gonna actually pitch it up a whole octave. Now let's set our original pattern back to its original octave. Now we have this. I'm gonna set it on stretch and generic, and I'm gonna hit reverse. And you know the deal, we're gonna chop the sample to align it with the original melody. Now let's hear it with the original. I'm adding some reverb to the counter melody. Now before the reverb, I'm also gonna add some portal as well. Now I'm gonna route those two melodic parts to their melody bus, and I'm gonna make it more stereo to separate it a bit more from the drums. Now obviously this is a very simple melody, but we're gonna keep it that way for the sake of the tutorial. Okay, now on the master I'm gonna add the soft clipper, which I usually use. And now we're gonna add some drums before we go to the 808, because we need to get that rhythm going first. Let's go with my Venom Volume 2, which you can find down in the description. Works pretty nice for now. The 808 I specifically want to use for this tutorial is on my Sauce Drum Kit Volume 10, which I also have linked down below. And specifically on the 808s, I'm gonna go with the default one, which always sounds nice and works on pretty much every track. Now usually when someone drags and drops their 808 on the pattern, what they do is right click and hit cut itself, but the release of the 808 is still there, and once the track stops playing, you're still gonna hear the 808. Now to fix that, you wanna go to this envelopes tab right here and set the envelopes like this. And now the note is gonna last as long as I press it. So yeah, as you can tell, this is a very powerful move to do, and honestly it is a standard to do on every single beat or track in general. Okay, so now the first thing we're gonna do is make sure our 808 is tuned correctly. The proper way to do that is by going to this sample waveform right here, right click it and click edit in audio editor, and as you can tell it already says that my 808 is properly tuned on C. But to make sure, what you can do is click this button right here and click detect pitch regions, and it's gonna show you this note right here in case it wasn't shown from the beginning. Now let's just say our 808 wasn't tuned on C. If it showed you, for example, that it's on D, what you want to do is go find the D note, which for example is right here, and right click it, and now it's gonna be tuned on D. Okay, so now let's start by laying down our 808 pattern. Now as you can tell from the ghost notes, our melody is on C sharp, and specifically with the 808 you want to follow the root notes. Now in this case the root note is on C sharp, so we're gonna add notes there, and we're gonna start by building a simple 808 pattern. Now make sure you try different rhythms yourself, but usually something like that is very common on trap beats, so we're gonna duplicate it. Now right here at the end I'm gonna add some variations. Specifically I'm gonna shorten this note, and right here I'm gonna add a different rhythm, and we can go multiple routes with it. For example, we can add a note right here. This is something very simple, but what we can also do is go right here and choose a different grid. My favorite one is the 1/3 beat, and we're gonna add a note right here. Make sure it's on the length of the bar, and we're gonna create this rhythm. And we can even play with the octaves. I'm just gonna highlight the note and hit Ctrl and up arrow key. But yeah, to make the 808 hit harder right now, what we want to do is highlight all the notes and just take their velocity all the way up, and now it's gonna hit harder. I'm also gonna take this note and add it somewhere in here. We can also play with the velocity to add some more bounce to it. Specifically, I'm gonna go to those last notes and I'm gonna lower the velocity so we can add some bounce to the pattern. Now I'm gonna show you how to add reverse notes. First of all, let's set our grid back to line. So I'm gonna find a place where I want my reverse note to take place. Specifically, I want it right here. So I'm gonna add a simple note, and I'm gonna highlight it and then press Alt and U. And now we have this chopper tool right here, and by tweaking this knob right here, you can set the amount of rolls you want, but we're gonna set it on the max, so we have multiple rolls like this, and then hit accept, and now it's gonna sound like this. But to make it sound reversed, what we wanna do is make our velocity like this. Now the easiest way to do that is by going to the first note, and while holding right click, you wanna slowly increase the velocity like this. And now what I'm simply gonna do is take those reverse notes and I'm gonna add them to other parts of the pattern. Okay, another trick we can do is actually go to the control right here and switch from velocity to note pan. And now we can control the panning of the notes. So I'm gonna find some notes that I want to pan. Specifically, I'm gonna go to those last ones. I'm gonna highlight them, play with the left and the right. I'm also gonna go to my reverse notes and do something similar. Okay, I'm gonna take all those notes and add them to the left, and this one I'm gonna add it to the right. Now what I want to do is show you how to add slide notes. Now we're gonna go back to the note velocity. Okay, so the first thing I'm gonna do is click this button right here, and that is gonna add a slide note. You can tell from this icon right here. And the first thing I'm gonna do is find a spot that I want the slide note to take place. Now the longer the note is, the longer the slide is gonna sound, and the shorter the note is, the shorter the slide is gonna be. Now by highlighting the slide note and lowering its velocity, we can make the slide less or more obvious. And usually it is nice to keep it subtle like this, so you don't sound like you're overdoing it. And we can also add a slide note on a lower note to make it sound like it's doing that pitch down effect. Now once again, make sure you have your envelopes set like this, because otherwise you won't be able to control the length of the regular notes or even the slide notes. Okay, so now as you can tell, we have this rhythm right here, but our hi-hat is still on 2-step, so what I'm gonna do is go to my hi-hat, set it on 1/3 beat, and go to the spot where that 808 pattern takes place. And I'm just gonna add the hi-hat notes the same way the 808 is. So now our rhythm sounds more correct. Now I'm gonna show you 2 ways to make your 808 stand out a bit more. Since we have a soft clipper, the easiest way is to go to your 808 sample and go to this button right here and increase the boost knob. Or you can do it more precisely with the EQ knob. But that really depends on the style of beat you want to make. It's not necessary to do that. Now I'm gonna send my 808 to a mixer track to show you the second way to make it stand out a bit more. Now the 808 is routed to its own mixer track, but we're also gonna route it to a second one by clicking route to this track. And on the second one, I'm gonna add saturation or distortion. Specifically, I'm gonna add one of my favorite plugins, and this is Distortion, which is stock inside FL. And I'm gonna pick one of those distortion presets. This one sounds very nice, but what I'm actually gonna do is take down the insert with the distortion plugin, and I'm gonna slowly increase it until I get a sweet spot that I like. And yeah, I really like it that way. An extra way to add more energy to your 808 is by adding an open hi-hat. I'm gonna go to my Venom drum kit volume 2 once again, and the first open hat just makes everything sound way harder. So we're gonna add the open hi-hat to the most of the notes of the 808. And I'm also gonna lower the velocity on some of them to add some more bounce to it. Now I'm gonna send everything to the mixer. And another cool trick that I forgot to mention is to go to your close hi-hat, and we're gonna add fast distortion right here, and we're gonna take down the mix knob a lot. And now that crispy hi-hat is gonna actually complement the 808. So that was the 808 guide tutorial for 2024. If you found this video useful, make sure you like and subscribe, and I will see you on the next one. Peace.